Welcome back once again for another SnowRunner truck review. Today we're going to take a look at another vehicle in the Voron truck line that has been in SnowRunner since the release date. So before we start, I ask that you please help support the channel by liking the video and subscribing to the channel as well. Alright, so without further ado, let's jump into it and check it out. The Ural Next is a high-mobility off-road truck that is the successor of the Ural 4320. While being a commercial truck, the Russian military does have customized models for military service. The main changes that were made from the 4320 to the Next were the new cab design, engine, and other detailed modifications. Also notable, the upgraded engine allows for the Next to carry significantly more amounts of weight as well. In SnowRunner, this truck is the Voron Grad. The Grad has been around since launch and has contributed greatly to the Voron truck line's reputation despite newcomer trucks. It compares very well to its brothers with some variation as we will learn. So before we start, let's take a look at the base stats. The Voron Grad is classified as an off-road truck. It weighs 12.1 tons. In its stock configuration, it boasts a power to weight of A+, a durability of A-, fuel consumption B+, fuel capacity is 330 liters or 88 gallons. It comes with a stock suspension. Its tires also come stock with a 43-inch highway tire. Its all-wheel drive is switchable, and its diff lock is switchable as well. Alright. Let's dive into the pros and cons of the Voron Grad. And you know how it goes. Bad news first. So opening up the downsides list at the number 1 spot, somewhat limited add-ons. It's hard to overlook missing add-ons, especially when you understand how good a vehicle performs, which we will talk about a little bit later. The Voron, unlike its brother, the Voron D, is slightly limited when it comes to add-ons. It cannot use the metal detector add-on, the short and medium log add-ons, as well as the logging crane. However, it can carry long logs, and it's the only Voron to have the larger ramped towing platform. Also, I must mention that it cannot attach a trailer if you have a small crane and a sideboard bed. For this one, just count the Voron out when you plan on carrying medium or short logs. Downside number 2. Level requirement and waiting for upgrades. Players who wish to use this vehicle must wait till driver level 18 to purchase it. However, driver levels do go pretty fast, so the wait shouldn't be too long. In addition to waiting for driver level requirements, you also need to wait for some upgrades to see the performance that's currently on your screen. All of its engines are found on Tamir except for the final engine that it shares with the Thatcher Phoenix, which is found on the Brutal region of Amur. Downside number 3. Engine durability and damage prone. Once you acquire the crazy powerful final engine, you might not yet realize what it actually sacrifices for all that power and efficiency. Compared to the old final engine, the durability is going to be cut down, giving less tolerance for mistakes. And this brings me to my next point. The Voron is somewhat damage prone from its rapid movement, engine durability, and the low-hanging fuel tank. The vehicle does sit rather high, however, if you plan on using the high-range gearbox, just plan to repair yourself seldomly. Downside number 4. Steering. To be brief, the Voron trucks have a slightly slow turning speed and responsiveness. Again, at faster paces, this is going to require driver attention and early reaction times to negate unwanted damage or crashings. The Grad is one of the better Vorons when it comes to steering, but compared to the Tega and some other fast twitch responsive trucks, there is a noticeable difference. And finally, coming in at downside number 5, wheel spin. To wrap up our downsides list, I have to say this is the most violent power I've ever seen on a truck so far, so just be prepared to downshift with the addition of differential locking when you start throwing snow or mud all over the place. Well folks, as you can see, those downsides weren't that bad, just a few hiccups here and there, but the Voron has some amazing upsides as well, so stick around. Here are the pros for the Voron Grad. Coming in strong at upside number 1, insane power. When this engine was first proposed, it was an exclusive upgrade to the Voron Grad. Later, before Phase 5, the developers added it to the Tatra Phoenix as well. It's really hard to describe this type of power, but I can tell you this. It is so hard to actually stall this vehicle. And lastly, it takes an already S+ powered vehicle to a whole other level. Upside number 2, all-wheel drive and differential locking. To make this upside short and sweet, the Voron has both switchable all-wheel drive and differential locking. The switchable features allow for more driver choice, fuel consumption perks, and an overall more immersive, cerebral gameplay. However, I do feel that if its differential locking was always on, its performance would greatly increase. Upside number 3, ground clearance. For this one, it's pretty clear from inspection that the Voron Grad has a favorable ground clearance. The fuel tank might be a snag issue, as well as those unattachable mud flaps, but overall, just like its brothers, it's going to handle those deep areas very well. Upside number 4, stability and tire options. I knew the Voron had good balance, yet after diving into the coding files, as well as testing, this led me to changing my personal ratings immediately. The files suggest that the majority of the vehicle's weight is in its frame, and further testing confirmed this as well. In addition to the vehicle's great stability, the Voron is one of the few trucks in the game that can use larger tires without the race suspension upgrade. Going from a 43-inch tire to a 50-inch tire with no requirements is a massive boost with the stock suspension. This also opens up more driver choice for added stability with the dually tired loadout and suspension options. Even though this upside takes a back seat to the highlighted engine power, it's definitely worth noting. Upside number 5, fuel capacity and consumption. I've mentioned previously in videos that upgrades have trade-offs, which is usually the case. However, sometimes there are some really surprising additions, and this is one right here. Before this engine ever came along, I would have called the Voron Grad fuel hungry or sporadic at best. Since the addition of this upgrade, it has been improved for sure. All the other engine upgrades on this vehicle state that they sacrifice fuel consumption for power, except this final engine. A large fuel tank with this engine allows the Voron to have improved performance and fuel efficiency at the same time. With heavy loads or when using the high-range gearbox, you might see higher consumption rates, but overall, I'm impressed. And finally, coming in at upside number 6, weight distribution and performance. As we know, the Voron Grad is one of the heavier off-road class vehicles, and its weight distribution seems very low and slightly to the rear of the vehicle. Having weight on its rear axles will allow for better grip without all-wheel drive if you plan on saving fuel. And lastly, we cannot conclude this list without briefly mentioning its performance. Before this engine, I still held the Voron Grad as one of the better trucks in the game, and rightfully so. However, after attaching this power-crazed, efficient engine, the vehicle's performance has seen increases almost all the way across the board. It's not necessarily an easy mode truck due to the lacking of the always-on features, but I do feel that this vehicle is still very forgiving and trustworthy. Alright, so moving on to my personal ratings for this truck. For power, I gave it an easy 5 because this engine is the craziest thing I've ever seen. For terrain navigation, a rating of 4. The vehicle is superb at tackling terrain, but if it had the always-on features, this would have been an easy 5. The only reason this is not a 5 is due to the switchable features requiring more driver attention, which could be slightly tough for brand new players. For aesthetics, there's not much to say here. It's a sleek, good-looking, modern truck. Stability, as we covered, is very impressive. I did have this initially rated at a 4, but after testing and further research, it merits a 5 for sure. It's really strange that one of the most powerful engines have fuel economy like this, but I absolutely love it. If this vehicle could help out with those large logging contracts more, this rating would have been a 5. Good weight, amazing power, switchable all-wheel drive and differential locking, and so many tire options allow the Voron to traverse pretty tough places very well. So in conclusion, if the Voron Grad didn't get your attention before, I hope it does now. The vehicle has always been an elite truck, but currently I think it rivals other vehicles that players deem to be the best. I'm not sure what compelled the developers to give it that new engine, but for me, I was overjoyed when I finally attached it. As mentioned on my Voron D video, I went in detail on my thoughts on making claims that a certain truck was better than the next. The Tegas and the Vorons all have fantastic performance, yet there are some subtle differences, and it's okay to have a preference, but I do think that objective comparisons are more beneficial. If you want my small input, I will say that I prefer this Voron for reasons you probably can already guess if you watch my reviews. As I continue to review trucks, I am starting to see that each truck has its own niche or purpose. The Voron Grad is simply not a logging truck, yet its brothers and the Tegas are. Honestly, I'm not bent out of shape from its lacking properties. On the contrary, I take notice of them and play to the vehicle's strengths while using driver skill and planning to mitigate any vehicle weakness. In closing, I believe the Voron Grad is a super strong vehicle to hone your skills while having a ton of enjoyment. Try it out and let me know what you think. I hope this review gave you a fresh, new perspective of the Voron Grad. Please smash that like button. Definitely share this video with someone who is struggling with the game, and subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you don't miss any future content. Hope y'all have a wonderful day, God bless, and stay upright.